WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Looky here, Elsburn, Emperor's Way. Can't even see it. And over here we have Willowburn. Now, not very often I get a bottle that is actually in this type of cardboard casing, container, whatever, cardboard box. Because look at this, this is a wooden box inside the cardboard box. Yay! What we have here is Whiskybase number 235810. Elsburn is a German distiller in the Harz. If you're in Hanover, if you're in Hamburg, and you might want to go to Berlin, basically between that boom, that little triangle there in the middle. And this is the 11-year-old single malt that they did, fully matured in a first fill cream sherry hogshead, cask number 759. I'll come back to what is exactly cream sherry in a second. So let's open up this baby. Like the garage door opening. So we have here our nice little bottle, nice color as you can see here. And we can put this little wooden box back on there. Now, I do know the owner of the distillery as well as the master distiller there. Her name is Anna Buchholz, Anna Katharina Buchholz, and I'm going to ask her maybe after the video, what does it cost me as a consumer to get a box like that? Now, normally, if you're working with here Elsburn, they'll just send you the bottle, which I think is more than appropriate, all right? So I've done a video about this as well, their 2023 Ruby Port Cask Elsburn. They used to be called Glen Els. They were contacted by the SWA and requested to stop using the word Glen because it could be confusing with people, that they might confuse it with the Scottish whiskey. The SWA is good in sending out cease and desist letters, and they decided not to fight it and just change the name of the distillery into Elsburn. So, so I think this costs me €8 extra for the box and the carton here. I think by the time it makes it in my hand, there's an additional price of €8. Now, you're asking yourself, what does the bottle cost? What does this thing at all cost? €132.90 for an 11-year-old product. Now, the 47.7%, 47.4%, sorry, are cask strength. So there's only 290 bottles in total. This is a single cask strength, non-chilled filtered, natural color product. So it is allowed to cost a little bit. So if it's 11 years old, okay, times 10, €110 would be okay. €133, a little bit too much. Yeah. So, cream sherry. Now, I am not the expert with cream sherry, but I do know that I like cream sherry. 20 years ago, I started buying sherry. It could have been 30, but it's 20, 30 years ago. Every once in a while, I'd just buy a sherry. And I'd go to the supermarket, look at the bottles of sherry, and usually there were two. There was a so-called sweet sherry, and there was usually either a medium sherry or a dolce sherry, or maybe even, if I was in a good shop, an oloroso sherry. So there is a pale cream sherry. So that is basically Fino and Manzanilla, which has a very, very bright color. And they might add a little bit of other sherries to add a little bit of sweetness there, just a little bit. Medium sherry. Medium sherry is Amontillado, and it has a little bit of Oloroso, maybe a little bit of Moscatel, maybe a little bit Pedro Jimenez. We have the cream sherries, which we have here, which is basically Oloroso, and they add Pedro Jimenez. Usually, it's not exclusive. There is no 100% guarantee that it's only Pedro Jimenez. It could be something else. And Dolce is a naturally sweet sherry, produced just like Oloroso, but the fermentation is halted earlier. And it's made from the Palomino grape and has some residual sugar in there, and therefore very similar to port wine. Now, what can happen is there is, of course, There's higher quality sherries and there's lower quality sherries. There's higher quality cream sherries and lower quality cream sherries. So what we can do is, usually cream sherry is a name just for a sweetened sherry. Cream means sweetened. And they're usually produced by blending a dry wine like Oloroso with Pedro Jimenez or Moscatel. Now, lower quality sherries and even cream sherries might not just take Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez or Moscatel and put them together, but they might actually add grape must. What is grape must? Grape must can even go so far as calling aropa. And aropa is cooked down and caramelized grape must. So after you stomp on the grapes, you press the grapes, what's left over, must, and they'll put that in there for more color, the skins of the grape, and they'll even cook that down and caramelize it and concentrate it and call it then aropa, Arrope. All right. So now, what type of premium seasoned, I'm going to guess it's a Hogshead, so I'm going to guess it's the seasoned cask of the cream sherry we have. I'm just going to say they took Oloroso, Pedro Jimenez, boom, and gave us this cask. Now, the distillery is often, I think it's just wood-fired distillery. They produce their own products. Elsburn have absolutely at the moment, and I think it's going to continue like this for the rest of the time that Anna's alive, and she's younger than me. They have no ambitions whatsoever to export to the world. They're a local distillery. They're servicing the German market, and they say, hey, if we bring out 20 single casks a year, we bring out the rest of our normal core range, and everyone's happy, they're happy. They're in a very touristic region where many tourists come to the Mountains of the Hearts, either to go hiking in the summer or even skiing in the winter. And so there has a lot of tourists come there, buy bottles, go to the gift shop, do a distillery tour, and they're happy. Why do they want to expand and conquer the world? Why is that something every distillery, at least on the island of Islay, needs to do somehow? Why can't you just be a local distillery? You have a radius of maybe 500 miles around your distillery that you actually sell your whiskey to, and that's enough. A lot of beer brands are the same thing in Germany. In Europe, we just have a local beer brand. It's think local, buy local. That's fine. Why do, in particular, distilleries think they need to be internationally sold and not just recognized, but actually sought after? No. And that's what I like about this. I'm going to commend them on actually making that decision back then. Of course, they could have built on and then expanded and increased capacity and set up a sales network and then had maybe let's say, Diageo or Pernod Ricard come in and buy, first of all, 10% and then maybe 55% and take over the whole thing and then create a global brand. But why? Why can't you just make good whiskey locally and just sell it locally and be happy? Make a good living, have 30-some employees work there at the distillery, and just be content. I think that's good. I hope you do too. All right, so if you're ever in Germany, you're ever somewhere between Hamburg, Hanover, and I go all the way over to Berlin, let's say that, more towards the mountains there, stop by, go to the distillery, say, hey, WhiskyJason sent me, and they know me there, and that's going to hopefully help a little bit. All right, I can compare this to something. I have over here what they love to do is to actually take good casks and use these casks here. So this is a full maturation in ruby port casks. This is a full maturation of 11 years in cream sherry casks. And they do Malaga. I have a video online about Revisal that they did, a full maturation. And the only problem with full maturation is sometimes it's just overpowering. And the Revisal was way too overpowering, but if I add a little bit of water to it, I can dilute it down and make sure, oh, that's nice. But as a full maturation, sometimes it's just too much. My example is, imagine eating French fries. And you put some salt on the French fries, and you put some more salt, and you put some more salt, and you cover them in salt. You're not going to taste the French fries anymore. and it's just too much. And sometimes, my personal opinion, some casks can actually impart too much flavor to a whiskey. It can just be too much of the cream sherry, of the ruby port, of the Rivasal, of the Malaga, of the whatever they're using there. So they do have very, very high quality casks that they're using most of the products at first, maybe second fill, and then they get rid of the casks. And they're doing a good job of wood management there. Cask strength, 47.4% after 11 years. Is that because of the angel shares? Yes. Is that due to a lower barrel entry proof? I think so. I'm going to assume that they went into the cask maybe about 55 to 58%, but I don't know. I did not ask. So, on the nose. This is nice. I get grapes, I get leather, I get orange peel, I get a tiny little bit of red licorice from the States. I get a little bit of clove, dark chocolate, wood spice. This is fairly intensive. It's a concentrated flavor. I'm going to use the word bomb. It's just really intense. I like, but the price of 132 euros for an 11-year-old product in cask strength is a little bit too much for my pocket. All right, here I have a little bit of sulfur. There's a video about this online. I really, really like the 2022 version of their Ruby and Tawny Port. Their 2023, I complained about the casks. Here, I'm not complaining about the casks. This is very, very nice. All right, 47.4% should not be a problem with the alcohol, 11 years of age. Cheers. Mm-hmm. There is a certain thickness to this. It's creamy, but it's almost overpowering. Remember, you put too much salt in your French fries, you can't taste the French fries. This is very, very concentrated. There's a stringency in here going on as well. There's a very, very strong wood moment. Biting into a piece of wood, a piece of oak. Now, what I don't know, usually, I can only say usually, a seasoned sherry cask is American oak, much cheaper than European oak. I don't get the dark chocolate. So I'm going to say this is American oak. I can ask, but that's the only thing that they did not share with us. I would love to have had that information. So we do know that this was distilled on the 23rd of November 2011. We do know that this was bottled on the 7th of March 2023. That's almost 5 months later here. Wow. It took 5 months for it to go from here in Germany to here in Germany to us. It just hit the market on the 25th of July. So I'm pretty good at this, all right? I would have loved to know what type of wood. Everything else is given 100% malted barley. Also, that I don't know. Is it German barley? There's different types of malted barley. Is it pale ale? Those are things you could share with us as well. I do have the feeling that there's a tiny little bit of Munich malt in here, but who knows? Munich malt is a little bit more darkly toasted. It's not chocolate malt yet. It's before that. It's a Munich malt. You have pale ale, and you have the other things. Good. I'm going to add water. So this is a solid C, maybe even a C plus on my scale. I'd go for C plus. With water, it turns into something even better. Why? Because I take away some of the distortion of it being so concentrated. With water, it's a B minus. The whole time I'm thinking, would I identify this as a cream sherry? What I'm getting is, I'm just going to go over here real quick. we have still with the old 12, we have the finest Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry casks. So this mix, we have PX and Oloroso. That's what I'm getting here. I would go, this is either a, what I would say is this a Muscatel. I'm thinking, is it a Pedro Jimenez? Do I get the raisins? No. Do I get the typical Oloroso spiciness? No. Do I get a Muscatel moment that I love for my sherries? Yes. That's what I'm getting here, and that's what I really like. As I said, B- with water, C+ without. Value for money, I'm going to go for C-. I still live in the world of 2019 with my prices of whiskey at the moment. But even though I do my 10 euros per year for cask strength single barrel, it's still over that. So this is one of the bottles. There's only 290 of these. I know that when Elsburn puts out a single barrel, they're gone almost instantly. They have a fan base of thousands of people that just love their products and just go to the distillery, buy things exclusively there. If they find it online, they're hunting for it. And so this is a product that is going to be gone very, very quickly over here in Germany. And so I'm not worried about that at all. And so the price is maybe right. So it's not geared to say, oh, this is a bargain whiskey and you have to buy it. This is a, hey, you like high quality stuff? This is one of I think the 5th oldest product ever released from the distillery. They had one that was 12, everything else, they have 4 others that are 11 that just came out this year. And so this is one of the oldest products. This is it's full maturation. So it's not a wrong price. It's just not the price I would be willing to pay for it, all right? So that's that. So my question of the day is, do you know any other whiskeys that have either a finish or a full maturation in cream sherry casks? So a mix of Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez usually. Do you know any other whiskeys in the world that have been finished or fully matured in cream sherry whiskey, cream sherry casks? And the second question is, can you name from your region, let's say within 100 miles of where you live, maybe 200 miles from where you live, can you name a local distillery that's doing a great job, but is not at the moment or even any time in the future, they have no plans whatsoever of expanding nationally, internationally, to the whole universe? All right, so name that, and so something you really enjoy. You don't have to worry about it because people, when they're driving by, they might stop there, but they're not going to steal your whiskey probably, all right? So there's some things like, so it's like, don't talk about Springbank. Shh, there isn't anything left. And at the moment, it's almost like, don't talk about At the Mochen. Shh, it's nothing, there's not much left. And so, so there's certain things under the radar that we don't like to talk about because it's so good and we want to keep it for ourselves. And in Germany, Elsburn definitely is one of those distilleries that people talk about. They discover it and they're hooked for life. All right, thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, telling others. Whiskey Jason here. See you real soon. Bye-bye.